And so we'll sit just on the floor facing the front of your mat, wherever the front of your mat is. Sit on your shins, close your eyes, and just for a moment, make sure you can see the whole student that Michelle is in the frame. And then just relax your hands on your lap, or wherever it is you want to relax them. Close your eyes and just settle into your frame for a moment. And whatever your week has had so far, whatever this first part of your Wednesday had in store for you, it's not always easy to take our minds and our hearts out of it. And so the lucky thing is that this whole practice and tradition that the practice is built on never actually asks us to forsake or drop anything. It just asks us for a moment to replace one orientation with another. And so that begins in the body. And so if you just feel into how your shins are connected to the ground, notice if there's a difference between the left and right shin, how much weight you're bearing on either. And then let the equalizing of your shins and your legs rise up the trunk just to notice how your shoulders are sitting on your back. Because we all have neck tension, because we all have stress to varying degrees, that tends to hijack the shoulders and aggravate the neck. So by relaxing your neck, you'll also relax your shoulders, and vice versa. And then from there, relaxing everything above your neck, everything that constitutes what you know to be the recognizable you, your face, your expressions, the place from which you see, hear, smell, taste. We take care of softening the exterior in the beginning and then also soften your so-called interior. And especially soften any expectations that you have for your own performance in this class today. There's no intention really that's necessary. We're asked to be here. We're asked to be present. And if we're setting our intentions too far, it's hard to actually feel what is, because we're so interested in creating something else than what is present now. Okay, keeping your eyes very mellow. So even the attitude that looks out of your eyes very mellow. You can start to open your eyelids slowly. And starting with a little shoulder mobility, interlace your fingers in front of you like this. And then squeeze the tips of your fingers, and I'll show it a little bit closer at the screen. Squeeze the tips of your fingers very tightly right against the backs of the hands. So you see how the tips of my fingers are pretty much turning white. So you keep the intensity of that, and you turn your hands out in front of you. Keep pushing, especially with your index and middle finger, pressing a little bit more firmly against the backs of your hands. And as you push your palms inside out like that, push your palms forward, start to lift your arms up slowly. And if you notice how Michelle is lifting, you don't have to look, by the way, but she has the kind of flexibility in her shoulders where she can take her arms over her head into a vertical position without impinging any other change in the torso, right? But if you notice that pulling your arms back further makes you take a back bend, then just back off on pulling your arms back and instead pull your front ribs into the body. So it's like you're doing a little mini crunch sitting up, and just let time dictate how well your arms go back. But a part of going back with your arms is also having to lift your shoulder blades up. So everybody lift your shoulder girdle, not gurgle, don't lift your shoulder girdle. Lift the girdle all the way up, almost as if you want to like legitimately envelop your neck with your shoulder anatomy, which is not the same thing as stuffing your head back. So lengthen out through the head and keep reaching up through the arms. And this is exactly what we call into action when we're doing downward dogs and any other inversions. So keep reaching your arms up, squeeze your thighs together, take about 2 more breaths. But keep your face and keep the whole like architecture or your facial expression right back there in the background of mellowness. So the tranquility of how we actually feel shouldn't be disturbed by the action and dynamics of what we're doing with our body. 1 more breath. Okay, and those of you that just came in, once you get into this pose, feel free to take another 30 seconds or a minute in this pose. The rest of you, bring your arms down, come forward on all fours, start to set your hands up for downward dog, and then just lift your knees and make your way to your first dog pose without too much aggressiveness right at the start. And I know some of you already have blocks. Those of you that just came in the last couple of minutes, make sure that you have a block handy just in case. But we're going to work on a little bit more leg/hip flexibility today and try to couple it with certain arm balance. One which you guys will definitely recognize, the other one is just less common in our real world. But for the next 5 breaths, close your eyes, let your neck hang, and then look, replicate exactly what you just did, lifting your arms overhead, yes, in what you're doing with your arms when you're a downward dog. So the whole idea is to continually project your entire body away from the floor by like smashing your hands to the floor. Like imagine you're smashing your hands through the ground into the basement, if you have a basement. Maybe the kind of smashing that would create a basement if you don't have one already. Lift your toes up, take 2 more breaths. Good, and then keeping your head hanging, inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend your knees. Walk or step your feet forward to the hands. And either hands on the shins or on the floor. Inhale, lengthen your chest by attempting to project it forward. And as soon as you exhale, fold down. Don't push too much since we're only warming up. On the next inhale, do a nice sweeping upward lift right through, all the way up until your arms come together overhead. I'll adjust the screen so you can see a little bit more. Good, and exhale, arms down. Justin and Chelsea, yes. Inhale, arms up, lift your toes, squeeze your heels into the floor. And then exhale, as you fold forward, keep track of your legs. And right here in the quadriceps, keep track of how actually clenched they are. Make sure that they're clenched to an exceptional degree, right? No excuse for anything less than that. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward. Exhale, plant your palms, step back, and take this first high push-up. We'll do a little bit more shoulder girdle warming up by first pressing right out of the floor so you create a dome shape with your upper back, as if you were doing crow pose with your upper back. And then start to take this rounding and just simply shift it over to your middle back. There you go. So you're pushing that middle vertebra up towards the ceiling, so right opposite to where the middle of your belly is. And then shift that rounding then to your lower back, and then this eventually pushes you all the way back to downward dog. Take an extra inhale in downward dog. As you exhale, lift your heels and round your lower back, the same rounding that you ended with. Then take that rounding to the middle back, and then progressively over to the upper back, which ends you up in high plank. Take an extra inhale in high plank. Exhale, round from the upper back through the mid to the lower on just that one exhale. Take an extra inhale in upper dog. And again, exhale simultaneously lifting the heels and rounding the mid back to the upper back in the high plank. Take an extra inhale in high plank. Close your eyes if you can from this point. And again, exhale and start to round upper, middle, lower back, all the way to dog pose. You take an extra inhale in dog pose. And we're going to do this one more time when you roll forward. So on the next exhale, heels up, lower back rounds, mid back rounds, upper back, and hold for 3 breaths in high plank. Give a little extra tension at your fingertips, especially your index and middle fingertips, into the ground, as if you're like literally trying to grab a chunk of the floor right out of the floor. And then use that same hand technique and that kind of finger dexterity as you lower down either to low plank or all the way to the ground. That's up to you and your shoulders. Inhale, slide forward to upward dog. Stay in upward dog for an extra 2 breaths, maybe 3. Point your toes in upward dog. And most of all, which is going to completely unburden your lower back, engage your glutes. Even though it's harder to engage your glutes, it's just structurally much more functional to support your lower back. Take one more inhale. And use your belly button retraction on the exhale to pull yourself back to downward dog. Lovely. Good. 5 breaths in dog pose. Keep your mouth relaxed. And again, call into action the same shoulder lift that we have when we're sitting on the floor, elevating them without the hands being obstructed by the ground. On the next inhale, lift your heels up. Exhale, bend the knees. Walk or step or even hop forward to the hips. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward, your tailbone backwards. Exhale, keep your tailbone reaching up as your head dives down. So always remember your tailbone has to move opposite to where your head is. And then as you inhale, come up, your tailbone starts pointing down as your head comes to vertical, culminates together when your hands touch overhead. Exhale, arms down. One more time. Big inhale, nice strong legs. Exhale, keep the front of your legs just sharp, like a surgeon's scalpel sharp. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, plant your palms, step back. And from here, go right into your low plank. Hit a full exhale when you do that. And then from there, continue on to upward dog and downward dog for 5 breaths. Now, here's the other thing about any of these poses, but downward dog in particular, because you have all 4 limbs on the ground, you're stable, it's not a balancing project. So it's a little more accessible here. By closing your eyes, notice how you can fine tune your focus a bit. If from your eyes closed position, you direct your gaze down as if you were looking, like, say, at your upper thighs in downward dog. But more specifically, it's like you're trying to look at the tip of your nose, but your eyes are closed. Good. Take one more breath. On the following exhale, lift your heels, bend the knees, walk, step, or hop forward. Good. Inhale, lengthen the torso. Exhale, hold. And then one swooping inhale brings you up to stand. Hands come together overhead as your inhale reaches its climax. And exhale, arms down. Bend your knees right into Utkatasana. Let's take this for about 2 or 3 breaths. So 2 important things. Most important is that the weight stays on the heels. So lift your toes and try to take the weight off of the forefoot, the ball foot. And while keeping the weight on the heels, give an extra colliding squeeze with your thighs. So there's just almost no space anywhere between the thighs. Take that for one more inhalation. And then exhale while straightening your legs and folding forward. Right? Inhale, lengthen your toes and torso. Exhale, from this exhale, come right down to your low plank. And hit the base of your exhale, even if you need to hover in low plank. Come up slowly to upward dog. And as you exhale out of upward dog, coming back to downward dog, step your right foot forward on the same exhalation. So we're going to go for a high lunge, meaning back heel stays up. If you really want to insist on doing warrior one instead, that's fine. When you're ready, come up. Lift your arms overhead. 2 more breaths here. Try to sit deeper into the front knee so your front thigh is parallel to the ground, all while engaging the left butt. Your butt will always take so much pressure and load off of your low back. So the stronger, the more functional your glutes are, so is your low back. One more big inhale. Keep your left leg sharp as you bring your arms down to the floor. And now hold on a second. Move the outer edge of your left foot to the mat. So we kind of prepare for side plank. So as you move the outer edge of your left foot to the floor, you can start to heel and toe, shuffle your right foot back to eventually meet the left leg with the right leg. And either hand can be on the hip, or you can have your arms straight at the side, or you can have your arms straight up. That's all up to you. But I really want you to start discerning the qualities of your feet and your legs that give such a strong basis for this balance. And especially it's what your top foot is doing, because your bottom foot is already going to be in the right composition. So pull the right toes off and the outer edge of your right foot up towards the body, still maintaining steadiness and clenchiness in your left hand. One more breath going like this. And then exhale, bring your right hand down and lower right back to low plank. Inhale, upward dog. We're doing an extra vinyasa here. Exhale, downward dog. Step your left foot forward on the same exhale. And come right up to high lunge, unless you did warrior one on the previous side. As soon as you're up, lift your arms overhead. And then the longer your stance is, the more chances you have of getting your front thigh horizontal. So keep the front thigh horizontal, but engage your right glute. Good. Take one more deep breath in. And then exhale, keeping your right leg sharp, bring your hands down. Don't step your left leg back yet. Roll the outer edge of your right foot to the mat. There. And then step your left foot carefully, slowly on top of your right. And so what you can see that Michelle is doing on her feet, she's mimicking exactly what the bottom foot is doing with the top foot. And what that does is it sets certain priorities and organization of muscle actions and relationships in your legs that give you better balance. And if the top foot was more relaxed and floppy, it would really just distort the whole left side of the body. Much more. Take one more inhale on this. And then exhale, slowly bring your left hand down, lower down through another vinyasa. And we'll meet back in downward dog. Downward dog again. Find out how much weight you're pressing in your index finger knuckle and the middle finger knuckle. Relax your neck, but project your arms away from you. See by pushing down into the floor how far, yes, how far you can pull the top of your head from the hands. Right, just like when we're sitting lifting them up. It's that same technique. It's obviously harder in downward dog because now you're lifting the weight of your whole body off the ground. Take one more inhale. Slow exhale lifts the heels and bends the knees. Walk, step, or hop forward to the hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hold. And as soon as you inhale, start to bend your knees back to chair pose. Weight dominant on the heels and strong squeeze between the thighs. One more breath in like this. And then just simply stand up straight, bring your arms to your side on the exhale. Okay, let's see if we can do one movement per motion. Take a deep breath in. Arms up. Bend your knees. Uttanasana. Exhale, hold it. Make sure you be very, very generous with your breathing. Inhale, lengthen. Take a while to lengthen and extend. And take a long exhale to step back and lower. So you have one breath that passes through two poses. And a long inhale here to upward dog. And definitely take your time coming out of upward dog so you have enough exhale left to also step your right foot forward. One inhale to build up lunge. And exhale brings your hands down. And then inhale, come back to side plank. Roll the outer edge of your left foot to the floor. 3 breaths in side plank. If you want to keep challenging your balance, of course, start to look up. So maybe you can stare at your left thumb the whole time. On the next exhale, bring your right hand down. Come down to low plank. Inhale, upward dog. And this exhale that pulls you back to downward dog also steps left foot forward. One inhale to build up high lunge. Exhale brings your hands down. Roll the outer edge of your right foot to the floor. Step your left leg on top. Side plank. 3 breaths again. Keep energizing, keep jazzing up your left foot. So every toe has space from every other toe. And not only that, all of them are lifting up towards the heart. One more breath in. A long-winded exhale brings your left hand down, as well as gets you right into your low push-up. And so on and so forth. From there, we'll meet back at downward dog. Good job. So now you guys already kind of feel what it means to have that side plank bottom arm. So what your arm does when you're in side plank. Okay. Let's just do that one more time, just to kind of trace through what it requires of your arm and your shoulder. Bring your legs together, come forward to high push-up, and then just roll over to your right hand and come into side plank. Right, so now that you know what's going on with the legs, a little bit more, a lot more, find out what exactly is this demand that's on your bottom arm. How are you interacting with the bottom arm and with the floor being a side plank? Because if your right arm wasn't functioning well, you would obviously fall down. So just by virtue of staying up, there's a lot more going right in that right arm and shoulder than not. Exhale, bring your left hand down and go right over to the other side. And again, just kind of intimately in your own experience, review what that feeling is that it takes right now to not fall to the ground. The feeling in your left arm, this whole support system of like literally standing tall on your own arm. Next exhale, come back to high plank and then downward dog. Okay, and we'll just start to go into our standing series from here. Step your right foot forward between the hands. Bring your left knee down for a moment. Lift your torso up. Okay, and then make sure that your left hip is right above the left knee. A little bit more right here. Good. And then just hold the outside of your right shin, your right thigh with your left hand. And then place your right palm, fingers facing down, right in the small of your back. So basically, right in the middle of your glute. So your fingertips are pointing the same direction as your tailbone. But your palm is not in your lower back, it's right on the pelvis. And then start to turn to the right. Back and down. As you inhale, use your right arm to push into your lower back and give you a little bit more upward kind of lengthening and lifting of the torso. And as you exhale, use your left arm to affect a little bit more of that twisting force. So this just kind of loosens up the spine in terms of twisting so that we have a little bit better respiratory flexibility, because twisting and respiratory health tend to line up along the same parameters. You're going to inhale, come back to center, bring your hands to the mat, lift your back knee up, and looking underneath you at your back foot, lower your back heel to the floor. So this puts you into side plank, side angle position, which means right hand can either be on the ground on the outside of your foot, or you can always place your elbow on your front thigh if the ground's a little bit too far. But you guys, lift your back toes. Not only that, see if you can start to lighten up the outer edge of your back foot. So this outer edge can lift, can actually afford to lift off the ground, at least for these kinds of poses. And now try the opposite. Press the outer edge of your back foot down, even at the expense of lifting the inner edge. Keep your back leg in this kind of quality control and just simply straighten your front leg. So now you superimpose side angle right onto triangle. And now here, whether your right hand is on the shin, on the ground, or on the block, and by the way, if your hand is on the block or on the ground, make sure that your hand is on the outside of your right leg. Activating your front leg, keeping the thigh engaged, still see if you can rest the weight of your upper body on your right arm in the exact same way that you did it in side plank. So there are really like these shared skills that we have from one pose to the other. And we can use side plank to inform triangle, as well as use triangle to inform side plank. Take one more breath in. And now inhale, stand up, keep your legs as is. Exhale, bend your front knee into warrior two. Good. And now, definitely here, lift the outer edge of your back foot and think about pressing the floor underneath your back foot away from you, which will actually help you abduct this left hip a little bit better. On the next exhale, windmill twist your arms down both to the inside of your front leg. Lift your back heel up. And then we're going to stop in this pose. So this is like our simple lizard pose position. If this is your limit right now, stay here. Otherwise, see if you can bring your left elbow down and maybe even your right. But as long as the lowering of your upper body doesn't cause any kind of drop in the pelvis. So still try to keep your back leg floating up well while keeping your front thigh, just like here, parallel to the ground. So this kind of gets into a certain aspect of your hip, and then we'll see how reorienting the torso can help us get some other hip effects. Come back up onto your hands. Bring your back knee down. Okay, now let's try this. You're going to walk your hands away from the body. So right now, if you're at 12 o'clock, walk your body and your arms over to the left so your torso is more like a 10 or 11 o'clock angle from the front leg. Go back a little bit. Yes. So right here. Now either again, stay on the hands or come down to your elbows. The next thing we're going to do, if right now you're on your elbows and with the next step, your elbows can't stay on the ground, then come back up onto your hands. So the next step is curling the back toes under and lifting the back knee. There it is. Okay. And when you lift the back knee, really try to lift it well, of course. Keep thinking of the back of your left knee going higher and higher to the ceiling. But since both arms are on the ground, try to guide your front leg over to the right. So you're actually trying to point your right thigh to more of a 1 and even 2 o'clock position, whereas your torso is more at 10 and 11 o'clock position. And this starts to reach into a still different, deeper domain of your hips, which we'll need a little bit more. Bring your back knee down on the exhale, come up onto your hands if you're on your elbows, and then step back to downward dog. Actually, let's take vinyasa. Let's keep generating heat. If there's any problems going on your wrists or shoulders currently that prevent you from doing the vinyasa, then of course, be safe, take care of yourself. Once you're back to dog pose, left foot forward, right knee down. And then come upright with the torso. This time, your left hand flat against the back of your pelvis. And we're saying pelvis instead of the butt, right? Excuse me, instead of the back. So the pelvis is more in line with your butt than it is with your back. You're holding the outside of your left thigh with your right hand, and then as you inhale, lengthen upwards, and as you exhale, pulling with your right arm, start to twist yourself to the right. And of course, this requires a little bit of balance. If your balance feels steady enough, you can challenge it still further by looking back behind you. And if you're really wanting to go crazy, you can even try to close your eyes. Keep your right glute engaged, take one more breath. And then turn back to center on the inhale, bring your hands to the mat, lift your right knee up. Okay, now look at your back foot. Spin your back heel to the floor. Keep your front knee bent, and we'll go right into side angle position. And here you can see Michelle's front leg a little bit better, so she either has her hand on the outside of the foot or elbow on the thigh. But front thigh still has to stay horizontal. Well, wherever your left arm is, imagine steering your front knee to the left. So it's like your front knee is now pointing to 10 or 11 o'clock. Dig the inner edge of your back foot down, and then press the outer edge down. Keep the outer edge of your back foot pressurized and slowly straighten the front leg, simply adding to side angle a straight leg, which makes a triangle. So the distinction between side angle and triangle pose going forward from here just really lies in the front leg. But remember, wherever your left arm is, if it's on the floor, keep it on the outside of the leg, if not on the shin. But use your arm here to settle all of your body weight onto. So what would it mean right now to think you're doing side plank on top of your own legs or with your left hand on the ground? Take this last exhale. On the next inhale, come up to stand, keep both legs straight. And then keep reaching your torso with your arms out, keep reaching your torso back over the right leg. As you exhale, sit down into warrior two. Good. Now from here, kick the inner edge of your front back foot into the floor so the outer edge lifts up, which is going to help increase your abduction range in the right hip. On the next exhale, windmill twist your arms down to the floor. Keep both arms on the inside of the front leg and lift the back heel. And first, just see if you can get your right elbow to the mat and your left elbow. So now you're keeping your torso, for now, close to the leg, right? So your left thigh is just kind of barely hugging on the outside of the left side of your torso. Still keep the front toes lifted and kind of jazzed, as well as the back knee. Part of what it takes to lift the back knee entails a strong kicking force, like you're spiking the football straight into the ground with your right foot. And then you can come up onto your hands, bring your back knee down. And now walk your hands and your torso over to the right so it takes on more of a 1 or 2 o'clock angle. And then bring your elbows down again. Maybe even if it's just the right elbow, it's fine to just stay with that. And very carefully, start to lift your back knee. If lifting the back knee has taken 1 or more elbows off the ground, just down the hands. But actively now try to steer your front leg left. So your front leg keeps veering towards 10, 11 o'clock, whereas your torso is maintaining 1 to 2 o'clock. Keep kicking the ground with your back foot. Put a little bit more effort into front heel weight bearing. So not much weight in the front should land in the front of the foot. Last breath out. Good, then bring the back knee down, come up onto your hands, then step your left leg back and take a vinyasa. Okay, a couple of breaths of dog pose. Okay, and then you're going to come down to your knees, and Michelle's going to face the camera. Well, we both are. You're going to sit on your butt and keep your left leg, and she's going to show you more in like a pigeon position, or like Janu Shirshasana. That's good. And now you're going to take your right leg out to the side, foot flat on the floor. Good. Walk your right foot out to the right, and then lift the front of your foot. And then grab the outer edge of your foot with your right arm. But as you see how our arms cross the inside of our legs, make sure your arm goes to the inside of the thigh, but then wraps around and holds the outer edge of your foot. And then grab the outer edge of your foot. Okay? And now you can actually add your left hand into it, if you can reach. Just pull your right leg backwards. So while sitting upright, keep your chest nice and prominent. See how far you can pull this right thigh behind you. Okay. Now, once you get that right thigh nice and far, keep holding your foot, or if you're not holding it yet, grab your right foot with your left hand, and then take your right hand underneath your calf. So you can unbend your knee a little bit. And now what I want you to try to do is these little partial circle movements with your leg and your hip to try to get your knee, the back of the knee, right on top of the shoulder, as close as possible. So do that a couple times. Right, it's like you're just turning some footing there. And now keep holding the shin or the calf with the right hand, but then grab the outer edge of your right foot with your left hand. Okay, now you're going to place your right hand on the ground. Make sure that your right hand is in line to your right hip. And then walk your right fingers over to the right until your right sitting bone is on the ground. Once the right sitting bone is on the ground, keep a little bend in the right elbow so you don't hyperextend it, and then slowly try to kick out and straighten your right leg. And again, if your leg doesn't quite straighten, that's fine. But once it gets closer to straightening, you want to try to carry your left arm roll the way on the left side of your head. Kick out through the heel, good. Try to turn those top toes back behind you a little bit. Take one more breath. Okay, good, Kristen. Everybody bend the knee. Okay, and then let's switch sides. So now place your right shin, the outer edge of your right foot on the floor, right leg, and back in pigeon pose. And then walk your left foot out to the left. Lift the front of your left foot. And then grab the outer edge of your left foot with your left hand. Good. Start to pull your left leg back. And if it comes back far enough, use your right hand right on the front of the heel to give you a little extra assistance. So as you just pull, for now, just pull your leg straight back. Now the action of pulling your left leg straight back is going to bring your thigh back past the torso, which is what we want. So then from here, hold the left shin with the left calf with the left hand. Keep holding the foot with the right hand. Left calf with the left hand. Good. And now doing those same circles, right? You're going to try to, with every increasing circle, try to get your knee more and more over your shoulder. Right? So you're kind of like supporting it mostly with your left arm, and your right hand is more the steering wheel that organizes the whole movement, the whole little circle. So once you get your knee close to the shoulder, keep holding the outer edge of your right foot with your right hand, the outer edge of your left foot. Place your left hand on the ground. And right here, you can see, since Michelle turned sideways, that you want your hand to be in line with the hip. So once that's so, she's going to crawl her fingers away from the body until that left sitting bone comes to the ground. Once that's so, make a little bend with your left elbow. So you're kind of pushing your upper arm back against the leg. And on top of that, slowly start to straighten your left leg. Good. Just make sure by the time your leg gets all the way straight, you keep using your hand to bend the elbow. And as you bend the elbow, yes, it'll keep pressing that left thigh back. Now, one thing to notice and point out on your own experience here, you want your top toes to turn behind you. You notice how your toes, they're not just turning towards the opposite side of the body. They're literally turning, like I'm sitting behind her, towards me. So think of your toes turning towards somebody behind you. Okay, and then bend the knee, set the foot down. Perfect. Come back to dog pose. Step your right foot forward between the hands. Bring the left knee to the floor. Bring both arms to the inside of the front leg. And now try to come down to your forearms first, to your elbows. So you want to get nice and neat. You want to have your torso sit much more anterior to where your thigh is sitting. So torso, in this case, closer to the ground than the thigh. Okay, now we're going to come back up onto the hands and see if we can put together the previous posture on top of this arm balance. So both arms are going to be on the inside of your front leg. Come up a little bit more, kind of sinking into the back. So you want to make sure that your back hip is a little bit more vertical above the knee. Try not to be like this, right? You're a little bit more vertical in your back leg. Now, with your right hand, you're going to step your right hand to the outside of your right foot. Right hand's on the outside of your right foot. Now, move your torso down, bend the right elbow so you can, again, try to get your knee over that right shoulder. And then pick up the outer edge of your right foot with the left hand. And for now, just come up on your hand like this to where your elbow is bending over your upper arm. Where you're just holding the foot. So like really try to close your knee more. So your heel comes towards your pubic bone. So just stay here for a second. Feel that firmness in your right arm. And then carefully you can try to kick your right leg out, as Michelle's going to show, while keeping the back knee down. So just kind of put this shape into your memory as you try to go through this pose. But once you're in it, try to rotate these right toes back behind you. So you should have a lot of external rotation going on in the whole leg to make space for the hip. A few more breaths, you guys. And then release, right foot down, good. Come back either to dog pose. If you want to keep building heat, go through a vinyasa. Good. Let me turn around just so. Yeah. So now you're going to step your left foot forward, bring your right knee down, bring both arms to the inside of your front leg, and just come down to your elbows for now. And again, try not to sit so deep in this hip. Bring your back knee forward a little bit. And I want you to think more of deepening into the front leg. Because if you're just sitting close to the ground with your pelvis by taking your right leg back, you're taking away from the flexibility that we need in that left hip, which is here, the front hip. Okay, so then from here, come up onto your hands. Come down low, still be on the hands. You're going to bend the elbows to where the left elbow goes underneath your left knee. And then step your left hand to the outside of your left foot and try to wedge your left shoulder underneath your left knee. Remember, your left hand is on the outside of your foot while you're wedging the shoulder underneath. Now bring your right hand a little bit closer to the foot, lift the front of your foot and hold the outer edge, and then just come into a side plank position with your foot in your hand. And just like she's doing so well, try to close your knee right up around the upper arm, right? So pretty much everybody can do this. This first step is everything. From here, keeping the right arm steady, try to straighten your left leg. Boom. And once you get into this position, try to externally rotate your leg, which comes from your butt muscle, your glute max, and have your toes aim behind you. Remember that sundial pose? The toes were aiming back, so try to rotate them in that same position. Yeah, and if you can close your eyes on this pose, then you definitely got it going on. Take one more breath. And then release. Left leg down, right arm down. Good, dog pose. Just hit dog, turn around. Okay, so now step your right foot forward. Now we're going to put all of this together. Keep your back knee up. Bring both arms to the inside of the front leg. In keeping your hands on the floor, bend the elbows so that your shoulders come down towards and even past your front thigh and knee line. So just like you're doing here. Then step your right hand to the outside of your foot. You're just still on your hands though. You're not on your elbows, guys. Once your right hand's on the outside of your foot, grab the outer edge of your right foot and start the same way you did before. So just balance on your right arm and let your knee close over the upper arm. Just like that. Just like that. So this is a great starting position. And then from there, while watching your right hand, your left leg, you can slowly begin to straighten your right leg. And as you turn your toes back behind you, it's going to give you a little bit more clearance here into the hip. And try to see if you can sustain it for about 5 breaths. Okay, and then slowly bring your right leg down, left arm back, take a vinyasa, and we'll reset for side 2. Okay, here we are. Last side, left foot forward. Bring both arms to the inside of your front leg. Remember, hands stay on the floor, but you're still bending your elbows. So just make sure you don't come to a full stop on the elbows and forearms. So your elbows bend, you come down, get your shoulders in line with the front knee, then step your hand to the outside of your foot, and then grab the outer edge of your left foot with the right hand, and just turning over to the left arm, hug your leg around the upper arm. And just stay in that position. Notice what it requires in the back leg to not drop. And keeping the back leg sustained, slowly start to straighten your left leg. And if it doesn't straighten all the way, don't push on it. But all the while as you do it, attempt to turn your toes back behind you. So we got 3 breaths to go. So at least 5 breaths in total per side. And then release, right hand down, left leg down. Take a vinyasa, and we'll meet back in downward dog. So now, stepping your right foot forward will release all the stuff that we've been tightening up so well. Bring your left knee to the mat, and then as you come upright, sorry, I'm going to have you turn around. And it goes without saying that if it's too rough for your knee to be on the mat, you can always place a blanket or towel underneath your left knee. So you're starting in this position. Put your right hand on your right thigh and turn the pelvis open like you're doing warrior 2 on the knee. Okay, so once you're turned here, with that, try to turn your left foot back behind you. So you kind of pivot on the whole thing. Yes. So your left foot heel is pointing back. Like if somebody was standing behind you, I've done. Now staying in this position, see if you can bend the back knee, lift the foot off the floor, and grab that back foot with your left hand. Once you grab the foot, use your arm to slowly try to pull the heel in towards the bum, which is going to be a lot in itself. So if your foot doesn't pull in towards the bum as much as maybe you would like, just take your time with it. Come back to me. And then once you get your heel and your butt close together, then watch. So Michelle gets this position, then she turns her whole pelvis towards the front. Boom. And still keeps the heel and the butt connection happening. And if you get here, fairly in one piece, then you can start to lean yourself forward and get into like your full lunge. And as you pull your left heel towards your butt, lift your low belly up. Keep your front toes light. And then slowly release. Left leg down, both arms down. Step your right leg back and left leg forward. Good. And again, you're going to come upright and then do warrior 2 on the knees. So just turn over to the right and then turn your back foot in so your heel points back behind you. Keep in balance with your front hand on your leg. Bend your back knee and try to lift your foot off the ground. So once you're in warrior 2 position, or this kneeling warrior 2, get your heel and your butt close together before you swivel back to facing forward. And then once you swivel back, then continue pressing your heel into the butt as you lean forward into the lunge. And leaning forward in this case means your back thigh is progressively coming closer and closer to the ground. Good. Sit in this pose for another 5 breaths. Pull your toes back against the hand. So you're not just allowing the whole foot and toes to get curled. You're getting some resistance from your intrinsic foot muscles, which will help you keep your ankle and knee more stable. Last breath out. Good. And then release. Switch legs again, and let's go right into pigeon. So right leg forward, pigeon. use either a blanket or a block or any other object you have with you to place underneath your upper right thigh. So where your glute turns into your leg, make sure that has some support underneath it. Okay? Pull your front toes back, and then slowly start to lay yourself over the front leg. What is kind of elusive and is often understated is what you have to do with your front foot in order to keep the knee protected. And that kind of comes in a package of two actions. One is you pulling the toes back, and the other is you're pressing the outer blade of your foot into the ground. You want to be able to have your outer ankle stay floating off the floor, off the mat. Every once in a while, you can lengthen your left leg back a little bit further. What we hear about having to square the pelvis, don't put such a great demand on just necessarily square your pelvis. Make sure that your front thigh is connected to the ground, and as long as you don't take any of your body weight off of the right thigh, then of course you can square, which really just means work to get this left hip closer to the ground. And this starts to reach into a part of our hips, our deep hip rotators that we actually talked about this past weekend's workshop, that is like the rotator cuff for your hip joint. And oftentimes our hip rotators are unduly, unnecessarily contracted, intense, restricted, because our major glute muscle isn't doing the work that it should be working. And this causes a thing that specialists call compensation. So because one muscle can't do its job, other muscles compensate for it and thereby get overtaxed, over-aggravated, and under-rested, underpaid. Good. If you want to stay on this side another couple of breaths, then of course, take your time to come out, but when you come out, we'll switch sides a little bit more soothingly, slowly. Yeah, and some of you are flexible enough that you can go into like the fullest pigeon possible right from step one. But wherever your flexibility is, first of all, let's not forget that yoga and stretching are not synonymous concepts. Stretching is something you develop over time just by doing yoga, but it's not the end of it, it's not the goal of it. However restricted you feel yourself to be, make sure that this right here, this front upper thigh, gets the major portion of your body weight leaning on it. So you can put it like this. Think about it this way. If you had two scales, maybe even three, you put one scale underneath your left upper thigh and one scale underneath your right leg and another scale underneath your arms. The scale that you want to have register the most weight is the scale underneath your left thigh. So you have to feel like your body weight slamming down into that left thigh more than anywhere else. And as long as that doesn't diminish, then try to square your pelvis by rotating, in this case, the right side of the pelvis down. And whenever you do pigeon pose, any asymmetrical pose, inquire what side has a little bit more resistance, or which side felt a little happier, a little easier getting into it. You might not be looking forward to this side. You might not have been looking forward to the previous side, but you were looking forward to this one. Now, in that answer, what's contained is the answer to a lot of our imbalances. The hip that's more restricted will benefit from catching up in flexibility to the more flexible hip. And once you have more symmetrical flexibility across the left and right, your spine works better. And you know what else works better when your spine works better? Your breath, respiratory system. And you know what works better when your respiratory system works better? Your psycho-emotional unit, right? Your mood, your cognitive abilities, your focus. And I think we could all use a little bit more mood enhancement in these days. So we want to support the underlying basis of a mood or emotional, psychological life. So we're done with side 2. If you want to stay another couple of breaths in this pigeon, go ahead and stay, but we have about 2 more minutes until the official ending of class, and I want to just give everybody the opportunity to do whatever last pose, if there is a last pose that you want to do, to have a nice ending to your practice. 2 things I could suggest for one of these 2 is either shoulder stand or a supine twist like Michelle was doing. Right? If you want to do a supine twist, cross your legs. If you can do the eagle cross, do the eagle cross. Just make sure your knees, as you see hers are rolling over to the side of the bottom leg. So whichever leg is on top, you want to roll away from that side. That means your top knee in this crossing has to be the only one in contact with the ground. You can either put your left hand on your thighs, you can keep your hand on your abdomen, reach your right arm back. And if you're doing the twist, let 5 breaths pass per side. If you're doing shoulder stand, then I trust you know exactly how much time you need for each action. And just make sure this, those of you that are in the twist, that your knees are at least at like hip level. You can even pull your knees, a little bit more up towards your belly. Yeah, there it is. Makes it a lot more comfortable. Good job, ladies. Good. If you haven't switched sides in the twist yet, go ahead and switch sides.